Hey everybody, it's John, back out here at the farm. Today we're going to do a couple things. One, we're going to fix that Tar River drill, or at least we're going to try to. We've got the tumbler welded, and then we're going to head to the top of the hill and just kind of look at the food plots and check on the chestnuts. They should be getting into full bloom. Come along with us. We'll start out with getting the drill all hooked up. Hey everybody, back here on another day, last day of June, and working on the Tar River DRL 072 cedar. And I have gotten back the tumbler that drives the drill, the planter. And if you remember, the right side seems to turn the small seed box, so I was able to plant the small seeds. We'll look at those food plots here in a few minutes. And here's the welded part, and here's the piece that goes over it, and that side goes over here on the right side. This is the piece that was broken off for the large seed, and this side we got straightened out because it was slightly bent. So we're gonna, I think I have to take off a couple of the arms, or these arms that come down and contain this piece, as well as the bearings, because now that it's intact, I've got to account for that additional 3 inches or so that I was able to finally rest this out. But I don't think it's just going to slide in easily without removing, or at least giving some slack. So we'll get to work on that and get to see if I can keep it clean. You're working on farm equipment. As a family member once said, I guess it was a friend, he was letting go of some bad words, and my mama said something to him, and he says, "Sandy, the Lord knows I'm loading hogs." And another story on that, a guy working on an old Honda Civic, old, was a family member, and he was letting go of an occasional bad word trying to work on that thing, and he got called out by my mama, and he looked at my mama and said, "I'll probably go to hell over this car." So hopefully I'll be able to keep it clean and get to work on this. We'll see what happens here. Got my Coke Zero, this time 0 caffeine. Hard to beat a good old Coke Zero. Now we can get to work. Let's see what size that is. 5/8. Smoother, seed smoother in front of this cultipacker. So we'll loosen these up. That gives me a little bit of play in this arm. Tool League off of Amazon. Some heavier duty snap ring pliers with, hopefully those will work better. Not sponsored, just that's what I'm using. And that's in there nicely. So that'll keep that. Before we go disassembling anymore, let's see if we can finagle this in without bending anything. Yeah, definitely gonna have to remove one side or the other. Just not enough. Hopefully I don't break anything on the way. I'm gonna remove this little keeper arm here. Remove that cotter pin. Let's see how much this loosens. Now we're working on trying to get this out. This is the lower part of the mechanism, gear mechanism, that runs the seed box. So I'm going to loosen this. Try to pull this off. And we're going to move our attention just above it to these two and just remove that arm down. I think that should do it. That may be the easiest way once that's taken off. 18 millimeters seems to fit this the best. Oh, I dropped the whole thing. Oof. I have removed that side arm. This side arm is still on. So now I have the ability to make the play back and forth with this without bending anything, I think, and getting it back to working order. So this is the internal side. This needs a snap ring put in. I actually enjoy snap rings now that I have these pliers. So that's in place. I can put the snap ring back on the other side. Let's do that. Oh, it's a beautiful thing when you have the right tool. So now that is all in there, tight, both sides. That's going on just beautifully. The end, right in there, is flush with the bearing. That's how it should look. Remember, this was the part I had the problems holding my tongue last time. We'll do better this time. Okay, got it started. Hallelujah. I think we're close. Whew. You can see once again on this left side, we have the gear shaft flush with the bearing. And now we just got to work on getting this all reassembled, and we may be almost there. So there's a plate that goes on that inside. I wanted to get this ready for fall food plots. So if we get this ready, this is really ahead of the game. You gotta get the sprocket back on. A little love tap. The little nut that goes in this brass covering, which you see down here, is 10 millimeter. Well, 1 hour and look like we're good to go. We'll see how the weld holds. This was the broken side. We'll see now. And when the wheel turns, everything's engaged. You can see the seed boxes in the front are turning. So that is a huge win. Should be ready to go when it comes time to plant the fall plots, which is August 1st. Well guys, we got the drill repaired and now we're gonna head up the hill. Check on the chestnut blossoms. Got some catalpa trees I started from seed. Those are 4 or 5, 6 years old, something like that. And we'll start by looking at a couple of the oaks, and you can see just in the past week with the heat, we got another flush of 12 inches of new growth. You can see that lighter colored growth. Lighter colored growth here is again the second flush of growth for the year. And I can see chestnut blossoms. Gotta love Northwest PA. Temperatures in the high 60s, middle of the day. Nice blossoms. I can see the chestnuts are in blossom. People ask what's on the on the floor of the orchard. Well, a lot of natural white clover. Grows naturally. Some red clover. Timothy. My favorite tree in the orchard. Just covered with blossoms. This is by far the best year for my orchard as far as blossoms. Beautiful, isn't it? A lot of blossoms in that row. Wind's blowing from them to us, so should be a lot of chestnuts. English white oak. Gonna be loaded with acorns this year. Just had our first ones last year. These produce every year. Gonna come slap some nitrogen on this week. Old Bluey's been doing the trick here. We get Bluey moved. Bluey has been moved. Got my fish food. Purina fish chow. Let's see what happens here. Oh yeah. Some big boys. This is the benefit of leaving rows uncut. Milkweed blooming. Probably see monarch caterpillars crawling on there shortly. Right at the base of a beautiful persimmon tree. You can see the stuff I planted, the rows. And we'll see what it turns into. Well, checked on the food plots, checked on the chestnut blossoms. Now, I wasn't joking. I said 60s, and I hesitated thinking, well, maybe it reached 70. Looky here. 59 degrees. So I'm gonna pack it up and head home. Corn's not gonna grow much on a 59-degree day. Like to see a little warmer than that, but 59-degree on the last day of June. Some of you people down south may pray for an occasional day like that, so I don't mind. Do a quick check and see if we got any street side snacks here. And I see some wild red raspberries. Delicious. And black raspberries ready too.